Okay. Okay. Ooh, yeah, that's working. Okay. So, I guess it was a couple of weeks ago now, but we had started off talking about busyness and some of the issues with that, and we didn't finish because we had a lot of stuff to say about it. So we're going to continue with that one, and then if we finish that one early enough, then I'll also start on my next one. But if not, then we can just do the next one next week. Um, the and it's funny because the next one is about parenting, which Chris talked about today. So I was like, is he still in my notes? But maybe I stole his notes. I don't know. Either way. So this week, let's finish up the busyness one. So we had talked about we talked about some of the reasons why people are just trying to be so busy and some of the things that they're trying to get across. Part of the problem with that is if you look at like just kids these days, a lot of the schedules that parents make for their children, I don't understand how they could possibly, how the kids could go through all of that they're scheduled to do. I mean, when my kids were younger, I mean, they had scheduled stuff to do, and it seemed like a lot for me. But now I look at some of the stuff that some of these kids are doing, and I'm just like, man, that would have driven me crazy, even trying to do all of that, because even the stuff that my kids were doing was way more than I had to do, like as far as scheduled stuff when I was young. And most of us when we were young, we just go outside, you play, and you come back home, and that was your day. And for the summer, that was the summer. You go outside, stay out until it got dark, come back home, and start over. But yeah, this busyness has even passed down now to young kids, or the younger and younger each time, and it just seems to cause this epidemic of like depression and sad. I mean, just so busy that they can't even catch a break. And if you look at like young adults these days, it's kind of the stuff that you see. You see a lot of people running around, always trying to do something and not being able to relax. So let's talk about what God has to say about busyness. If someone could turn to Proverbs chapter 10 and read verses 4 and 5. Okay. And so it says, I mean, God has things to say about busyness, or about doing stuff. Busyness versus laziness is kind of what I would say. So it talks about the diligent hand makes rich, the slack hand becomes poor. Um, let's stay in Proverbs. Let's go to Proverbs 14:23. Okay. And so there is something good to be said about working. It says, the Bible tells us that all toil is profitable, work is profitable. And just talking and not working is, it says, tends to poverty. But also, let's take a look at Luke chapter 10 and verses 38 to 42. Luke chapter 10, verses 38 through 42. Okay. And so, even though there are places where the Bible tells us that work is good and that the toil of our hands is profitable and all those things, there is a time that working is not the most important thing. So there's a balance. There's certain times, and this was one. Martha was doing what a good host is supposed to do. if someone comes to your house, you tend to, you make sure that they got something to eat, they got snacks, they got something to drink, it's comfortable, things are clean, all the things that people do when you have visitors. But in this particular case, even though that was not a wrong thing for her to do, what Mary was doing was a better thing. She was sitting and she was listening to Jesus. She was taking time to pay attention to what Jesus had to say, because obviously hearing God's word and listening to what Jesus has to say is more important than making sure that the sofa's comfortable and that everyone has snacks. If I come visit, snacks are fine, but also there's times for all those things, right? And so Jesus was letting her know that there are certain things that are a priority, and being busy has got its place, but that's not our goal. We can't just treat being busy as a virtue in and of itself. There's busy for something, and then there's busy just to be busy. And if you're just running around doing stuff just to be doing stuff so that you don't feel like you're not doing anything, that's not necessarily where we're trying to go with that. Let's see. Let's go to Matthew chapter 6, verses 25 through 34. Who would like to? Yes, please. Okay. So, what is Jesus telling us here? That's a question for you. All right. Okay. Trust, right? We need to trust in God. What else? Is he telling us not to plan for the future? Right. He's saying don't worry about it, right? Right. Right. We don't need to stress over it. We don't need to be anxious about it. He's not saying don't go out and work and make money. He's not saying don't plant something today so that it can grow tomorrow. He's saying God knows that you need all these things, so that stuff's going to be taken care of. Now, he's not saying that you don't have to do something about it. He's just saying that's not your concern. That's not what you should be worried about. He said, seek God first, seek God's kingdom, and then all these things will be added to you. So it's not about don't do one. It's just there's priorities. And our priority should be seeking God's kingdom, seeking God, and not necessarily worrying about all the other little things in life that we tend to worry ourselves with. All right, let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 4 through 8. 4 through 8. Ecclesiastes 4, verses 4 through 8. Okay. So, oh, okay. It says, I saw all labor and every skillful work, that a man is envied for this by his neighbor, and this is also vanity and striving after the wind. The fool folds his hands together and eats his own flesh. Better is a handful with quietness than two handfuls with labor and striving after wind. Then I returned and saw vanity under the sun. There is one man who is alone, and he has not a second. Yes, he has neither son nor brother, yet there is no end to all of his labor, and nor is eyes satisfied with riches. He says, whom then do I labor and deprive my soul of good? This is also vanity. Yes, it's a great task. What is Solomon trying to get across here? What is he letting us know? What do you think? Okay. Yeah. So if you're working all the time and you're working and you're gaining all these riches or you're getting all the stuff from work, but it's not for anything. It says, one, you're never going to be satisfied with it because, like I said, once you make $100,000, then you're like, hey, I want to make 500,000. Once you make 500,000, you want to make 1,000,000. Once you make 1,000,000, I want to be a billionaire. You go up, and so these billionaires now, what do they want? I mean, they still want more stuff. Well, I want to be the richest person in the world. Okay, well, now someone else is trying to be the richest person, so you have to keep going. If that's your goal, you're never going to be satisfied with it. There's nothing fulfilling about it. Um, and also it says, and who is all this for? Because if basically when you die, it's gone. It's not yours anymore. You're dead. So there's a lot that people are doing, and it says you're sacrificing all this time. He says you deprive yourself of good to get all this wealth, but what's it good for? And what's it doing for you? So we want to, there's profit in work and all the things that it says it's good to work, but that's not our goal. That's not our end goal. If we're not if we're not working towards our goal or our reason for being, then all of this work is for nothing. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verses 10 through 13. 2 Thessalonians 3, 10 through 13. Okay. Okay. So again, so we're looking at what the scripture says about working and what things that are necessary. And one thing that working does do is it keeps us from going around and being in other people's business when we're in our own business, right? So, and being a busybody or being in other people's business isn't helpful either. That's not something that God wants us to do. He wants us to be about our business. Now, there's a difference between being in someone else's business and then being concerned about other people and helping them. So those are two different things. So he also tells us, don't be weary in doing good. So we should always be wanting to do things that are good for other people. It's just not our end game, our end goal is not just the busyness, but it's what it's for. So what we're doing for other people. Let's see. Let's turn to Matthew chapter 6, verses 1 through 4. Okay. And so, again, so busyness should not be our religion. We shouldn't be being busy doing things just so that other people can see how busy we are or what we're doing. Um, if that's what you are doing it for, then that's your own reward. Your reward is, okay, someone saw you, good job, whatever. But you don't get the reward from God because you're not doing it to serve God. You're doing it so that other people can see how busy you are or how much you're doing. So we want to make sure, and there's a danger in the church. We don't want to not do things because God tells us there's lots of things to do. In Luke chapter 2, verse 49, Jesus said, "Didn't you know I'll be about my Father's business?" Well, if Jesus is about his Father's business and we're trying to be like Christ, we should be about his Father's business. So there is stuff that we're supposed to be doing. But being about his Father's business wasn't just so that he could be busy in doing stuff. There was a reason. There was something he was trying to do and something he was trying to accomplish. And what was it that Jesus was trying to accomplish when he was about his Father's business? What was his end game? What was his goal? Okay. He was studying and learning, but why? To say salvation, right? Salvation of men. So we should have that same end goal. Our same end game is Jesus did all the things that he did for one reason. And the only reason was so that we could be saved, that we could be in heaven with him. So all the things that we do need to have that same goal so that other people, well, ourselves first, and then other people can be saved and be with Jesus in heaven. So we don't do it just to be doing it or do it just so that people can see that we're doing a lot. We do it for our end goal, which is to have people be in heaven and to save souls, which is what Jesus came for. But then let's also take a look in Psalm 46 and verse 10. Okay. Someone read that for us. Okay. And so there is stuff that we have to do, but sometimes God is telling us we just need to be still and know that God is the one in charge of everything, and God is taking care of God's taking care of us. So yes, there's a lot of work that we have to do, but we also know that God has got this, so we should relax a little bit, let that soak in, let us understand that God is actually in control. So the things that we do, we're doing to bring people to God, but we shouldn't be so focused on doing as we are focused on what the result should be, and that God is in control. let's see, when we are, there's a lot of work to do in the church. Let's go to John chapter 4, verse 35. John chapter 4, verse 35. Okay. So we shouldn't be to a point where we just say, oh, well, we don't have anything to do. He says, okay, well, don't just say, oh, it's 4 months till the harvest. Look, he's saying that there's something to do right now. So there is something that we should be doing, and there's something we should be doing now, but it's just, like I said, the reasoning for what we're doing and why we're doing it is not just to be busy and to fill our calendars with all kinds of things and saying, okay, I've got this to do and this to do and this to do and this to do. We should be working and focusing on making sure that the things that we are doing are bringing other people to Christ, and some of the other items that we do, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with, having other activities and, having to take the kids to this sports activity, or to go and watch this game, or to go and do whatever we're doing to make money. Nothing wrong with that. Those are all great. They're all good things to do. It's just those should not be our focus. Those are not our goals. So what we want to do is be about our Father's business, and that's where we should make most of our focus, and the other things are secondary to that. Any thoughts, comments on the whole busyness piece? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna open that up to everyone here. Did y'all hear the question? No? Okay. Yeah. Let's hear some thoughts on that, because that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that we can. Just to start off with, I don't know that we can divide it up into a percentage and say, okay, well, 10% should be for ourselves and 90% for God, or 50% for ourselves and 50% for God, or zero for ourselves. But, obviously it's not a zero, but it's right, and that's, I think, yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Right. That's I heard some. Mhm. Right. Okay. So yeah, it's about setting priorities. We know that there's things that we're supposed to be doing that God has called us to do, and then there's things that we have to do just to maintain. I mean, like to live. You have to figure out. You have to get food and shelter and all those things involved. The work of the church requires money. There's things that you have. I mean, in order for us to even have this building now, is this building a necessity? No, but I mean, it's very nice and it does help to bring people in. It helps to bring us all together. I mean, we could all meet outside. They did it 50 years ago. They had the little pictures and they were all outside and they were worshiping. So it can be done, but is that if God has given us a place to worship and to meet, do we need to take care of it? Yes, right? So, and is it does it work out better for us in this way? Can we invite more visitors because we have a nice place to invite visitors to? Yes. So, does that help to spread the word of the name of Jesus and spread the cause of Christ? If that's what we're using it for, then yes, and that's what we should be doing. So our work should be there's priorities, there's things that we have to do just because we're in this world, and then there are things that we have to do because God has told us to, and we should be making sure that those things are all kind of pointing in the same direction. Um, Anybody else got anything? These were good. All right, okay. And so, yeah, the verse that says, "And everything you do, do it as though you're doing it for the Lord." From that, I always took that to mean that if you work for someone, you should be the best employee there. If you're in school, you should be the best student there. Not necessarily like a straight A student, but you should be like a student that the teacher will see and say, that's a good kid, that's a good student. Or if you're at work, you might not be like the top performing employee, but when people see you, they should see someone that they're like, that is a good person that works here. We're glad to have them here. Whatever you're doing, they should be able to see Christ in that. So they should be able to see that there's something about you that is not just you, it's Christ. And so when they come in, they ask, well, why are you, because people will ask, because I've had people ask me, like, how do you come to do this? And you always seem to have such a good attitude about it, or you do this and you do like a really good job of this part or this part. And I say, well, I mean, that's what Jesus told me to do, so I'm just trying to do it. But it's something that people will ask you about, and then we want to be able to have that discussion. We want to be able to open it up and talk about Jesus and what he did for us, and so why we feel like we have to do the same thing for other people. It is, if we are, every single thing we do isn't necessarily, you know, related to the church or related to Christ, but the way we do everything can be related to Christ. So, if you're on a team, be the best team member that you can be, because people are looking at you, and they should be seeing what Christ would do if they were on that team, or if Christ would do if they were at that job, if he was at that job, or what Christ would do if he were, you know, in the grocery store shopping and someone needed something from a top shelf and you could reach it and they can't, all the things. So when we're not just looking to fill up our calendars so that we have a sense of accomplishment based off of the calendar and how full it is. We're not looking to justify ourselves by showing how important we are to what we're doing. We should be genuinely concerned about the lost, actively trying to bring them to Christ. And the reason why is because we're grateful to God for what he's done for us. We're not doing it so that we can earn salvation or so that we can earn our place in heaven. We're doing it because Jesus died for us and he didn't have to do that. He did it willingly, and he did it before we deserved it. So because of that, that should be our motivating factor, and that should be the reason why we do the things for him. It's because we're concerned about other people who are lost, who don't know about the sacrifice that was made for us, and we're trying to bring them to Christ, just like someone brought us. I guess the things that I have here on the end of my notes here. Are we grateful to God for the gift of salvation that we were given, and that we want to share that gift with everyone else? Evangelism is something that we all are supposed to be doing, and there's reasons for doing it, and some reasons might not be great reasons, and some reasons are really good reasons. You don't evangelize just to say, "Hey, I'm right." Hey, I'm right and you're wrong, and let me show you how you're wrong. Although sometimes that works, even though that shouldn't be our reason for doing it. But if someone does that and they still bring someone to Christ, that person has still been brought to Christ. But that doesn't work for most people. But that kind of, there was like me and there was another guy I know, Louis Joseph. That's kind of how both of us got brought, because someone was like, well, I was trying to show that they were wrong, and then they showed me where I was wrong, and they proved it, and they said, okay, you're wrong. And I was like, oh, well, I'm one of those people where if you show me that I'm wrong, I will change, and because I don't want to be wrong. But that's not typical, and most people, it's more you have to care about that person and show them that you care about them, and the reason why you're teaching them is because you actually care what happens to them, not just so that you can show them that they're wrong. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's true. Right, and that's a much better way. That's definitely a much better way of going about it than what happened with me. But it worked with me because, like I said, I'm a stubborn person who likes to be, you have to show me I'm wrong. I've gotten a lot better about not being that way when I teach other people now. But that was, because that was almost 30 years ago. So that was like 30 years ago. But like I've gotten better at being, teaching people in a different way, in a better way, right? But my reason for teaching other people has changed from what it was 30 years ago to what it is now. Now it's because I actually want people to know, and because I care about what happens to them. That wasn't necessarily my goal at the beginning, but we get older, we get better, hopefully. Let's see. do we, and then the other, so that's what we need to make sure that we're doing when we're teaching other people. Then also, like when we're doing stuff with the brethren, is it because we actually, love the brethren, we want to actively help all of the people here get to heaven, or is it just because, oh, well, it says we have to do this fellowship or we have to do this church thing, so I'm going to go do it so I can check off the list? There's got to be, our reasoning for wanting to do things together should be because we love each other and we care about each other, not just because, well, that's what it says that we have to do, so let me just do it. So there's reasons for our busyness, and there's reasons for, we need to make sure that we are doing things not just to be busy, but to fulfill what God has called us to do, which is to love each other and love other people and to bring them all, help everyone get to heaven. Any other thoughts? I only have like 10 minutes left, so I'm not going to start my next one. So let's just talk about this for the rest of the time. So say some stuff. I'll start pointing at people. And ready? No one says anything, I'm going to point. Mm-hmm.
So it won't be total chaos. But I do believe that to take an example from Mary, I think we need to be flexible so that if there's a need, it needs to be met. I don't care if that was your laundry day. You need to drop the laundry, and if somebody needs help,
Mm-hmm.
you need to administer.
Yeah.
In the long run, it's not going to matter whether you did your laundry on Monday, but it is going to matter what you did for someone. And years and years ago, I remember I took food to someone, and she cried, and she said, I feel so guilty because when you needed help, I didn't help you. And I said, that's not how it works. I didn't help you because you did or did not help me. But I hope you learn from this that you need to help other people, not me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a back and forth.
Right.
It's pay it forward. And I did see a change in that woman's life. I think it was kind of a wake-up call for her.
Mm.
And it's a shame that she had to be in a terrible wreck and be in bad shape to learn that. But she realized it's not a checklist. And it's not, I'll do for you because you did for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just doing what God would have us to do.
Right.
Where there's a need.
Right. That's a good point. So yeah, if there's a need that needs to be met, we drop the things that we're doing to meet those needs, and it's not because we can get something back from that person, that we expect something back from that person. Jesus even said, if you just do good for those that can do good for you, how are you any different than the world? Because everyone does that. If, it's like, I know that if I take you out to dinner, then you're going to take me out to dinner like 2 weeks later. That's not really, it's nice. I'm not saying it's not a nice thing to do, but what I'm saying is that's not why we do it. We don't do things because of what we can get from someone else or because of what they've already done. We do things because of what Jesus did. And that's so because of what Jesus did for us, we try to meet the needs of other people who are around. And it's not a checklist. It's not something that we say, okay, I helped someone with their groceries today, and then I cut somebody's grass, and okay, so I've done all the good things I'm going to do today, and go on. It's you see something that needs to be done, you do it. And a lot of times, even if people don't tell you what needs to be done, because a lot of times people don't tell you, they just kind of suffer in silence, kind of thing. And if you see that there's a need, then address the need. Um, and that's something that definitely. He said that he has his wife do his laundry, so he's available to do yours. Oh, oh, I thought you said. Oh, I missed that. Okay, I missed the last part. Okay, available to do good. He said his wife does his laundry, so he's available to do good for other people. So there you go. I thought you were saying that you were volunteering to do my laundry, and I was like, okay, meet me at the house. I don't know how it works. I just know you stick stuff in it, and then it comes out, it's clean. You stick it in the dryer, and it comes out, and it's dry. Okay. Anyone else? If not, then we'll call it here, and I'll see y'all next week. All right. Thank you.